What sort of actions could you take if you want to understand the customer better? G'day and welcome to Small Steps Through Life. Today we're at Paekākāriki Beach and it's a beautiful day. And I'm looking at the idea of relating or empathizing with the customer. And I've got a fairly strong example of what we could do. At the moment, in New Zealand, we have government, a government that we elect, and every few years we get to choose new representatives. But what they do, that's much less under our control. They can go in and say, we're going to do all these promises. It doesn't mean they have to do it. Now, what if they could relate to the customer, the people of New Zealand? Would it make a difference? Let's try a thought experiment. Imagine if they had to use the same services that me or any other New Zealander had to use. What would this look like? What if they had to use the public health system, the public education system? Maybe there would be incentive to fix the system. But what would this look like? If you look at New Zealand systems, they're designed not just for an individual, they're designed for everybody in a family. So if we want to make it stronger, we make it so that they have to consume the public services and their children. And if we could, make it so that their parents have to as well. That would incentivize them to take care of the elderly. At the moment, we have a system where the elderly get whatever care the government deems. And because the elderly have less vocal voices when it comes to protests, they kind of get left behind. But what if it was made so that the politicians got to see their parents in public care and thought, this isn't good enough? There'd be an incentive to make it better. But how could you make it stronger? How would you make it relate? Well, if you think about it, with the public health system or the public transport system or the education system, you've got to keep using it. Not just for 3 years or 4 years or whatever number of years. You've got to keep using it until you no longer need it. So maybe as long as the politicians are getting the perks, they would get the benefits of the public system. And when I say the perks or the benefits, I mean if they make a bad health system, they also get to partake in that, where they're not allowed to bypass it. Now they've got skin in the game. And they've got an incentive to empathise, relate, improve, and plan for the future. It's an auto-correcting system. It means that instead of looking at the idea of what's the way to get the votes, what's the way to stay in government, now it's what would be good for me and what would be good for the other customers. Because they wouldn't get to jump the queue. If they thought the education system was slack, they'd be encouraged to make it better. And everybody else would benefit as well. If the health system had too longer queues, too longer waiting lists, they'd be incentivised to work out how to make that work better. Understand your customer and you can grow your business. Understand your customer and you can provide exactly what they seek. Not just what you would want to offer and not the lowest service that you can provide and get away with it. So, we all have customers. What are you going to do for your customers today? How are you going to relate to their needs? How are you going to meet them? How are you going to consider the idea of how could you plan for them in the future? Feel free to share them in the comments, and I'm going to say, see you later.